So President-elect Trump has certainly not been budging on his threat to impose major tariffs, and business executives are somewhat split on whether this threat will work, maybe as a negotiating tool or whether it ends up just hurting the economy in the long run. Let's bring in ISM Manufacturing Business Survey Chair Tim Fiore. Welcome, Tim. What are we seeing in the business community? Because it seems like a lot of people are hoping that Trump doesn't end up saying what he says, well, doing what he says he's going to do, and it is just a negotiating tactic. What are you picking up?
Well, I'm not so sure. There's pros and cons to both approaches. So, let's kind of set the stage a little bit here. In 1970s, the U.S. percent of GDP for manufacturing was about 23%. In 2004, it was about 16%. Today, it's about 11%. And the reason it's 11% is back in the late 80s and early 90s, in order to focus on cost competitiveness for our companies, we had to find ways to save money. And the way to save money was to offshore a low-cost country source to countries that provide an economic advantage. And generally, when we did that, there was about a 30% landed savings that we looked for before we would go ahead and pull the trigger. And that was the savings that would offset any risk associated with that. So bring us forward to today. Actually bring us forward to the first Trump tariffs, and it became very clear to supply managers and manufacturing leaders that an extended supply chain that is subject to tariffs, it could be an issue. We better have an alternate source for some of this if these tariffs stick. Then we had the pandemic, and we couldn't access product. So that whole activity accelerated even more than that. And now we're sitting here with tariffs again, and the question becomes, what are we going to do going forward? So I think, part of the issue here is that the U.S. has competitive energy, fantastic. We should keep that. That's in Trump's agenda. Whether it be natural gas or oil, feedstocks or energy, the U.S. has a huge advantage there. What President Trump is talking about with less regulation, like he did the last time, that has a clear advantage. But remember, a lot of what we sent overseas, we didn't really feel that we wanted America to make anymore. Think steel, think chemicals, the pollution, the toxicity went with that. And then the tariff support should help that. So it remains to be seen. I can't tell you whether this is a negotiating ploy, and I'm a professional negotiator too, or whether it's something that's going to be deployed. My guess would be that it's going to be deployed, like he did the last time. But then, they did a lot to waive certain things where there weren't any other choices at the present time. The biggest thing I think here is let's have a solid strategy for the next 4 years. If we keep whipsawing back and forth, we get off track.
Well, so specifically on incentives, I think you bring up an interesting point there that we're offshoring activities or manufacturing that we didn't necessarily want to do here in the United States, which would push back on the Trump argument that if you impose a high tariff, those companies are just going to come back and do it here in the United States. The flip side of that argument, brought up by somebody like Neil Kashkari, who's the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis, and put it this way.
The challenge becomes if there's a tit for tat and it's one country imposing tariffs and then responses and it's escalating, that's where it becomes more concerning and frankly a lot more uncertain.
Now, that was the argument last time as well, and I'm sure the Trump folks would say, well, it wasn't that bad, and Biden kept a lot of the policies that we had in place last time.
Well, we're a big bear. I mean, we're a strong economic partner here. In the end, if you're going to face off against us, you probably aren't going to really win. So, I mean, I understand his comment there for sure, and I'm definitely concerned about that. But I'm more concerned about, is the American public going to be able to afford it? I mean, we went overseas, and like I mentioned, the landed cost delta that we were looking for 25 years ago was about 30%. And it's not that now. I don't think it's that now. It's probably closer to the 10 or 15% of purchase costs, which generally, think 50% of what you pay for a good is 50% of what that company paid its suppliers.
Okay.
But is the U.S. economy going to take on an additional cost? And then how do you offset it if they're not? I mean, and I think that's the biggest issue right now with the going forward administration, especially with the House and the Senate and the executive branch probably all being aligned.
Well, thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.